Welcome everyone, Dr. Tom DePaoli here, kicking off part one of videos on MRO parts. I hope you all learn from this and understand MRO and its role in many companies and organizations. Information on getting copies is available on a later slide. Please subscribe to my channel. Thanks. Here's our mission. I'll point to it. Share and pay forward the hard knocks lessons learned in life, career, and business. Here are my books on Amazon. Many good business-related books with hard knocks lessons. All right, what is MRO? Maintenance, repair parts, operating supplies. Here's a definition of the items in MRO: services, indirect materials, repair items, operating supplies, maintenance parts, and office supplies. Here's some other areas of MRO to be considered. I'll give you some time to read them. You can see it's sort of a grab bag of supplies and services that are necessary, not critical, but necessary to run a business. Here's 4 sample divisions or baskets of MRO: consumable products, service, capital equipment, stores and distribution. They are all interconnected. Here's an example of MRO cost. Usually 20% of the dollars spent, but 80% of the work. A lot of unpredictability in MRO. Things break down, unplanned things happen, and a lot of times the parts or equipment are needed within 24 to 48 hours and must be rushed into the organization. Here are some of the problems. Okay. The one that I see a lot is too much inventory, inconsistent pricing, and the lack of standardization and not focusing on one brand throughout the entire organization. This is a self-reflection exercise. I want you to pause a little bit, think about your current MRO purchasing system, and on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the best, what do you really think about your current system? Many companies neglect MRO and absolutely do no work in the area to streamline it or improve it. The question here is, where do MRO parts or stuff fall? Thing is, they fall in all of these areas: leverage, strategic, non-critical, and bottleneck. Again, you have to figure out where they fall and think about your strategy for them. It's not clear on some of them. So just because you've decided that, I think it's really in this, in various buckets, the parts will be different in where they fall. So you got to be careful. Change is constant in MRO. Emotion a lot of time rules logics and data. Here's the supply management iceberg. I'll let you look at it for a while. In MRO, there are a lot of other costs that aren't even thought about. A lot of companies try to get a handle on MRO and it fails. Here's some reasons. Top executives don't like purchasing getting cozy. Supply management means less purchasing and support people, headcount. A lot of local suppliers are entrenched because of the gifts and things they do. Indirect materials equal cost. All right. Here's some of the costs involved in MRO and indirect. Freight, processing, handling. Some more. Storage, labor, downtime, payment. A lot of times we don't even know where the parts are that we purchase in inventory. Prior to 1980, here are some of the aspects of MRO. Price ruled. Okay. Little sharing of information. Very paperwork intensive. A lot of times, even though a sister plant was 1 mile down the road, you didn't know what MRO inventory they had to help you out. Some of the things started in the 80s and 90s here. You can see what happened. A better customer analysis of total cost. Information shared. And information started to become more and more important in the relationship with suppliers. Here's some best practices. Total cost of ownership analysis, better spend analysis, single source type partners, evergreen or continuous contracts, and taking advantage of the supplier's system and integrating it into yours. Some of the things that could happen in the future, you could have smart parts that broadcast when they're about to wear out and need to be replaced. Parts that never wear out, better part tracking technology, vendors managing everything, much better analytics, and videos and streaming online consultations. Some more MRO history. You can see the 60s totally fragmented. In the 90s, we're all the way up to national change and integrated supply alliances. Here's the market today. More alliances, okay? More people outsourcing the entire MRO, more high-tech predictive maintenance, and maintainers are analysts in predicting what's going to happen, not just fixers. MRO world-class cost categories are drivers. The emphasis on prevention and quality. And the inventory transaction must be perfect and simplifies. Cycle time reductions. Support or customer service is emphasized. And again, this whole field of predictive analytics. Here's some changes in the cost focus. You can see that it's a different allocation of cost. Okay. And what you have to do in activity-based costing is to make sure you're accurately showing what's the cost of a simple transaction or getting a part in MRO. I'll go over the ABCs of parts. Many of you already know this. A parts are critical spares or insurance parts. B parts, normal spares. C parts are low-value consumables. All right. This is just a cutaway to show you, but it depends on your organization. Fast movers, medium movers, or never movers. You can do a profile. It takes time. On your MRO. Here's some part options. Okay, usually when you're sold a piece of equipment, they also want to sell you the spares. That's something you have to think about when you buy the equipment. All right, have suppliers review all spare part insurance parts list. Make sure they're justified. Standardize is the key. A lot of parts just sit there forever and become part of the building. Here's some B part options. Integrate into your maintenance system. These are the key ones to get in there. As suppliers get your history, they can hold for you or help you. But also make sure you think about reliability. Avoid duplicate spares and parts that you don't need. These are the very cheap parts that are needed for everyday use. Put them on automatic. Okay? It's okay for a supplier to run like a mini storeroom in your area of these parts and to make sure that you never run out. You're going to need a champion who runs MRO. It's important to have experience and the skills needed to do it, and you also need to understand that they're committed to it. It does take a lot of time to get started and a lot of buy-in. Preliminary phase of what you're going to do. Got to have a team doing this. Got to have top management support. Then you really got to do a lot of homework and analytics. And you have to estimate the savings so people get an idea of what's going on. Got to identify the suppliers that could be potential partners. What's the criteria to select? Politics is always in bids. Make sure you try to get it out of there. Pick a good, committed team who want to make MRO world-class. Screen and select the suppliers. Interview them. Get references. All right? Evaluate their past performance. Again, in partner selection, more things to think about. Identify potential ones. Establish a relationship and evaluate how the relationship's going. Make sure you document expectation and contacts. Provide a high attention level to it. Give prompt feedback to your partner. Diffuse hot issues immediately. Go for quick wins first. Make sure you evaluate the relationship. Set milestones. Focus on continuous improvement and expand roles of everyone. Expectations of the customer, which is you. Inventory reduction. What are you going to do with obsolete items? Less deliveries. Much better accuracy. Standardization. Can you get buying power? Can you speed up cycle time? Expectations of the partner. They still need to make money. Okay. It would be lower sales cost, lower inventory risk. They want a long-term relationship. Commitment, they have to know you're committed to them. Again, work with them on standardizing products and make sure the efficiency is improved. Here we go on two sides. You can calculate the hard dollar savings. What levels of automation do you want? Is it ease in doing business? Is it a major change or minimal change? Here's some metrics to consider as you're going through the process. Discount schedule, service levels improve. Make sure you audit the pricing arrangement. Okay, make sure you get the very best price. Make sure all your sites and plants get the same pricing. Keep score, or people who are critical will attack. This is a case study just to give you a background, sort of how this works, right? And again, this was a large company with total North American coverage, with both small and large plants, a leader in the industry, financially sound, and they're looking for value-added services. Here's some of the services. Direct data connections. They use procurement cards to eliminate paperwork. Specialized catalogs. Pay on receipt. And they also permitted the partner or supplier to do some on-site stores management services and consignment. Here's some of the things that were provided just in time. Activity reports, spend analysis, technical support on many of the parts in the OEMs. All right, fit testing, flexibility to meet the site requirements. These are the things you need to think about when you select a partner. Here's some of the objectives of lowering the total cost of ownership. Again, you're going to continually gather more and more data. You've got to improve the ordering process and make it simple and quick. You got to look at service level and have performance reports. Predictive maintenance, you've got to get better at that. And again, smart spares management. Here's a snapshot of one plant and what they spend in each area or bucket, and that's millions. So it gives you an idea, a spend analysis of where to concentrate your efforts. Here's some of the initial resources used by the team to come to a decision. Again, you've got to know what your resources are and how you can pull this off. Here's some trends in MRO. Increased focus on value-added services and computer automation. Alliances, consortiums. Declining market share for smaller and medium-sized distributors. So you've got to understand what the trends are and how to take advantage of them. Here's something we found out about a generic distributor's cost structure. As you see, their profits weren't that outrageous, something you have to be conscious of. All right, your supply chain cost. Ordering, still a cost. Receiving, dispersing, okay? You can see those areas which we categorize as transactional have a large percentage or dollar value of the cost, and you've got to make them better. Here we go about cost of purchase order versus either electronic or direct link to the supplier's computer. You can see it's very, very big difference. All right, just an example. Again, before we went to computer direct, very costly, paper intensive, okay? I believe it'll be less than 30 cents per transaction in the future. Here are some of my qualifications. Done a lot of MRO work. It's not a glamorous area. You're surprised how much energy and cost it takes up for a company. It's an area that has to be put on cruise control or automatic. Here is some contact information. Obviously, I've got a lot of media things, social media things that you can check out. Also got 9 great business books. I call it a real world MBA. No theoretical stuff. Lessons learned by me and stories that you can learn from too. Please subscribe. Thanks. Any questions? Give you a little time to get the information. My email is thomasdepaoli@yahoo.com or drtomd@gmail.com. There's my website, drtombooks.com. I hope you enjoyed my advice. This was a rather lengthy video about MRO. Hopefully you've learned a lot, and I appreciate your time. Thanks again.